Welcome to the International Traffic in Arms Regulations video in our Export Controls video series. The International Traffic in Arms Regulations, or ITAR, is housed under the U.S. Department of State and controls military items and services. ITAR work which involves ITAR equipment, technical data, or technology, has more complex licensing and access control requirements for exports, imports, and foreign national access. The United States Munitions List indicates what is a defense article or service, an article or service specifically for a military or intelligence application. This list includes items such as fire control equipment and submersible vehicles. If it is not on the U.S. Munitions List, then it is not a defense article. If you're unsure whether an item you are developing or are otherwise using in your research is on the U.S. Munitions List, you can contact your export control lead, listed at the end of this video, for assistance. In this video, we will identify situations where you should ask for help. The ITAR are complex regulations and they don't always appear to make sense. Your export control lead is here to help, and there are options such as licensing, exemptions, and technology control plans. These solutions take time, so contact your export control lead early. Unless there is an applicable exemption or you have a license, you will be personally liable if you share ITAR-controlled information with foreign nationals verbally, electronically, or by allowing visual inspection of ITAR-controlled materials. You may also be liable if you have such information on a computer without proper security controls, if you have information on your laptop and you take it out of the country, or if you import or export ITAR-controlled items. Even an unknowing violation can have serious legal consequences in addition to causing headaches, lost time, and delays to research. For example, you might send equipment outside the U.S. for repair or receive an item from an international collaborator without knowing the item is ITAR controlled and can still be levied fines or other penalties. To help avoid these problems and delays, contact your export control lead to determine whether your research has any ITAR controlled information or items. How might you know if you're working with items, information, or software that are controlled under the ITAR? Some manufacturers will let you know if the item, information, or software you're purchasing or receiving is ITAR controlled. Look for key terms such as ITAR, no export, or no foreign nationals on purchase orders, receipts, or vendor websites. Also look for these terms in user manuals or in communication you receive from vendors or collaborators. Not all vendors will tell you the export classification, so make sure to ask them in advance. If a part you're purchasing to incorporate into a build is ITAR controlled, it will require export licensing under 3 circumstances. 1. Foreign nationals need to access it to perform work. 2. It's a physical shipment coming into or going out of the United States. Or 3. The part is transported to international waters 12 nautical miles out from the coast. If there's an alternative part that has the same functionality and isn't ITAR controlled, we recommend that you purchase the commercial component to reduce export licensing requirements. ITAR controlled information might be shared under a non-disclosure agreement. Learn in advance what kind of information you will receive under a non-disclosure agreement. Is the subject of your conversation related to a military or space-related end item, material, or component? If yes, then contact your export control lead for assistance in advance of receiving any ITAR-controlled information or equipment. If you're partnering with a company or lab that conducts ITAR research, including ITAR information or items in your research plan can take you out of the exclusion for fundamental research, which exempts your research from export controls licensing requirements. Contact your export control lead if you need assistance structuring the research program to ensure your portion of the research remains under the exclusion and free from export control restrictions. When you're working with or visiting defense contractors, you might encounter ITAR-controlled information or items because the contractors are often working on military spec items. The information or items they share with you may look just like the type of information or items you're used to seeing in your research, but may be ITAR-controlled. If the other party has asked you to provide your citizenship information, they may have already determined what kind of information you can receive based on your citizenship. For example, if you're a U.S. citizen or green card holder, the company may decide to share export-controlled information with you based on your citizenship status. Feel free to ask questions of the contractor to clarify whether the information is export controlled. Make sure the contractor understands that you need to know in advance when you're receiving export controlled information. If you're working as a private consultant on ITAR technologies, don't bring controlled information on campus or place it on your university-owned electronic devices because of foreign national access restrictions. These restrictions include university IT personnel with access to your electronic devices. If you're attending a conference where military technologies may be discussed, and you're asked to sign a Form DD-2345, you'll need to ensure that you sign on your own behalf and don't store controlled information on university electronic devices, bring copies on campus, or share restricted information with others, as special security controls and a technology control plan is required. Please remember that you cannot share any data or information related to ITAR-regulated research or other activities without prior approval. Sharing includes publication, discussing the data or information in a classroom, or presenting it at a conference. Consult with your export control lead to determine the government approvals or exceptions that might be needed for your situation. In addition to a license for a physical export, the ITAR also has licensing requirements for technical assistance, or what the government calls a defense service, which is providing foreign persons with ITAR-controlled technical data or furnishing assistance related to ITAR-controlled items, including providing training to foreign persons in the United States or abroad. In a university setting, this might occur when a researcher would like to collaborate with foreign researchers on an item that falls under the ITAR or contains ITAR components, or if the researcher would like to collaborate with a foreign military on research or testing. ITAR-controlled information and items require a technology control plan, including physical and IT security, foreign national access restrictions, and, where applicable, a special type of export license called a technical assistance agreement, which can take 3 months or longer to obtain. Contact your export control lead for assistance.